everybody. Welcome to Diamond Painting with Dee. I'm Dee and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Today I'm just going to work a little bit on this squirrel that I've been working on for the past few days. See if we can get a little bit done on him. And how are you today? How was your week? It's been a little bit crazy here in the Northeast. We had days in the 70 degrees and then all of a sudden we're having nights where it's in the 30s. It's cold and dark in the morning. I like it better when it's 70 degrees. It's a nice temperature. 50 is not a bad temperature, but when it starts getting much colder than that, I'm not a cold weather person. I like it to be in the 60s or 70s. I worry we have a lot of stray cats in my neighborhood, and when it gets too cold, I get concerned about them. And they're out all year long. They're not just out, in the summertime. They have no place to go. They have no shelter. I do put out some food, and I have an enclosed back porch that they can get into and eat, but that's not like having a home of their own. Yeah, I really wish that people would be more responsible with their pets and not just let them breed indiscriminately, and then you end up with generations of animals that have just never had a home and never had love, never had shelter or food coming in on a regular basis, and that's really too bad. But I am an animal lover, and it's all animals. As a matter of fact, at one time, I had a hobby farm, and I rescued a couple of bull calves off of a dairy farm that were going to be sold off for veal at auction. So I raised them up, and they were just like big dogs. I taught them commands. They like to play with balls. They were really... Cattle are very smart animals. People don't think about that, but they are. And here I am working on a squirrel. Now, I did feed the squirrels a few years back, but they got very destructive. We kept their food in a covered bucket in our garage, and they managed to figure out how to get into the garage, and they chewed right through the bucket. And then we had a Rubbermaid trash can, and even when we had their feeder full, they sat and chewed right through the trash can cover. So, unfortunately, I had to put a stop to feeding the squirrels. But, they did that themselves. I couldn't have them damaging the property and just having a free feed out of the main bucket where it was being stored. We do have pet cats that belong to us, not counting the strays that we feed. We have 3 cats, Ivy and Kichka. Ivy and Kichka came from a farm. They were born in a barn, and we got them from our vet. And then we also have Clancy. Now, Clancy was a stray cat. And he just showed up one day. And I kind of ignored him because the last thing I needed was another cat to feed. And then he came back about a week later. And as my husband was bringing in the groceries, he just walked in the house like he belonged here. And he was so skinny. I think somebody might have abandoned him because he was familiar with the house. He walked in and he was thirsty. So the first thing he did was jump up on the toilet and drink out of the toilet. And then he went to the bedroom and laid down in the bed and slept for hours. And he was just so skinny, and he needed food. And obviously he was dehydrated the way he drank. So we thought about it for a while. Do we really need another cat? But we decided to keep him. Kept him for a couple weeks, and then we decided to go ahead and get him neutered and get his shots and get all his tests. And so we became a 3-cat family. And 3 cats is really all that we need to have in the house. We have a regular cat that comes by. I call him Homer, the homeless cat. We have a camera out in the back porch. I call it the cat cam, so I can see when he comes and goes. On occasion, we have gotten some other animals that come in. We've had a woodchuck that came a few times. After the woodchuck came, Homer stopped coming for a while. And then the woodchuck stopped coming. We had a raccoon come a couple of times. We've had some other cats come just a few times, but for the most part, it's just Homer. And in the wintertime, we do have a little bed with a blanket and a crate for him to go in if he needs some shelter. There's been a couple times he's curled up out there, but I think he must have his own place where he takes shelter, because we went a good few months without seeing him at all after that woodchuck came. As a matter of fact, he just returned this past week after not being seen for a while, which I was happy to see him because I had feared for the worst when he hadn't been around for a while. But he was just busy doing whatever stray cats do, I suppose. Maybe he doesn't look like he's too skinny, so either he was out mousing or he has another source of food, but he seems to know how to take care of himself. We've been feeding him now for, over a year and a half, which I think is a pretty long time for a stray cat. They don't have so much can happen to an animal when it's not being cared for, so hopefully he has someplace safe that he's staying. When I used to live out in the country, we used to get a lot of feral cats. And there was a whole cat colony out in the fields, and I would trap them and have them spayed or neutered and release them. There's no way that I could have, taken care of all of those animals. But my neighbor, who was also a farmer, who lived about a half mile down the road from me, he also fed the cats, and he had a greenhouse, so they would hang out in his greenhouse in the winter so they'd be warm. So they say it takes a village. I guess that applies to taking care of the homeless animals too. It's just too bad that there are so many homeless animals. It's so important for people to spay and neuter their pets. People say that, but you hear all the time, spay and neuter your pets, but so many people just don't do it. And so many people want to let their cat have just one litter or their dog have just one litter, and we don't need any more litters. The shelters are full, the rescues are full, and these animals are just running around not being taken care of. But that's enough about that. I'll get off my soapbox about that. It's just I care so much about the animals, and I do everything I can to try to alleviate some of their suffering. But you can't save them all, I suppose. That's what they say. You can't save them all, but it's such a tiny dent in the problem. But the couple that you can help, it matters to them. Makes a difference in their lives, and that's better than not making a difference in any lives at all. At least that's what I tell myself, not to get discouraged. Do you have any pets? What kind of pets do you have? You can tell me something about your pets down in the comments below. I'd love to hear stories about your pets. My pets are a trip sometimes. I have the one, Kichka, we call her the little kitty because she's smaller than the rest. She will sit and meow like she is absolutely starving to death. And we will feed her, and she will sniff her food, and then she'll walk away from it. Or if she wants a particular toy, she'll sit and stare at the toy until we give it to her, and then she'll just walk away from it. She just, she wants us to cater to her, but once we do, she doesn't want whatever it was that she was asking for, and she's a very vocal cat. One of the most vocal cats I've ever had. But she actually had a litter mate that was raised in the heifer barn with her, and she was taken in. My vet's a country vet who has a farm, and they were out in the barn, and one of the cows rolled over on her. She didn't get hurt, but she couldn't have gotten hurt very easily, so they decided to bring her in, and she had a little bit of an upper respiratory infection. So they treated her, and then we adopted her. And Ivy came from the same place, but her story wasn't quite as dramatic. They just brought her inside, and we went ahead and adopted her. But I'd love to hear stories about your pets. I used to have dogs when I lived out in the country. I love dogs, but I live in the city now, so... not a big city, but I live in a city, and I just would rather have the dogs out in the country where they have more room to run. And, some people are great at taking their dog to a dog park. I don't really have a dog park around here. The most we would do would be to walk around the block. And after living in the country and having the dogs that just have so much freedom, I just decided to stick with the cats for now. Then there's other kind of pets. Does anybody have any exotic pets, like snakes or lizards or any pocket pets? I had pet mice at one time when I was in high school, and they were interesting. I thought they were cute. I know some people don't like mice, but I enjoyed them. But mice don't really, they don't have the lifespan of a dog or a cat. The thing is no matter how long the lifespan is with a pet, it's never long enough. Isn't that the truth? So what projects are you working on now? What's your work in progress? Are you working on something that's autumn themed? Are you getting ready for the holidays? Leave a comment down below and let me know. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video. I'd much appreciate that. That's the best way to grow the channel, is to have people sharing it. And eventually we'll get there. Right now, the important thing is just that you're watching and you're enjoying the content. You can let me know what kind of content you'd like to see. Do you like the unboxings more than just sitting here chatting with me? Because really, it's your channel. Whatever you like, that's what the content that you want is what I want to present you with. So there's that. And I'm doing this on a Thursday night. The weekend is coming up. Do you have plans for the weekend? By the time I put this on YouTube, it will be the weekend already. It's almost the end of October already. Pretty soon, we're going to be changing the clocks. We'll be getting a slight bit more of daylight. Like I said in my last video, I'm not a fan of changing the clocks. I rather deal with just having a darker morning and a little bit longer daylight in the afternoon than have it get dark so stinking early in the afternoon. But it is what it is, and that's what the powers that be want it this time. So that's what we're going to deal with. And then it's almost time for that. But they have shortened that than it used to be. So it's just for a few months and then we'll go back. But so that's pretty much all I have for you at this time. I'm so happy that you stopped and spent a few minutes with me today. I hope you enjoyed our chat. And I hope that you come back and join me again for the next chat. You have a great day.